Picture an airline that treats profit like precision flying. No turbulence, no wasted energy. That's Emirates. They built a $50 billion empire not by accident, but with strategy, style, and bold moves. Today, we're unpacking exactly how Emirates became the world's most profitable airline, soaring past giants on wings of custom strategy and execution. Picture Dubai in the early 1980s. It wasn't the glittering skyline we know today. It was a modest trading port, still finding its place in the modern world. Oil had brought in some wealth, but the government knew one thing: oil wouldn't last forever. They needed a new way to put Dubai on the map. Now here's where it gets interesting. At that time, Dubai had no national airline. If you wanted to travel abroad, you had to rely on Gulf Air, an airline jointly owned by several Gulf states. But Gulf Air wasn't too happy about Dubai's growing tourism ambitions. In fact, in 1984, Gulf Air actually reduced its flights to Dubai. And that, ironically, was the trigger that set everything in motion. Dubai's rulers didn't see that as a setback. They saw it as an opportunity. Fine, they thought. If they won't bring passengers here, we'll bring passengers ourselves. And with that, the idea for Emirates Airlines was born. Here's the twist. When Emirates launched in 1985, it wasn't backed by billions of dollars. There was no blank check, no endless government subsidies. Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, then Minister of Defense, insisted the airline had to be financially independent from the start. They were given just $10 million in seed funding. That's pocket change compared to the $50 billion company it is today. The first big move? They hired Maurice Flanagan, a British aviation veteran, to lead the project. He had just 5 months to set up the entire airline: planes, crew, routes, branding, everything. And here's the kicker. They didn't even own their first aircraft. Emirates leased 2 planes from Pakistan International Airlines, a Boeing 737 and an Airbus A300. That's right. The most profitable airline in the world started with borrowed planes. When Emirates took to the skies for the first time on October 25, 1985, it offered just 2 destinations: Karachi and Mumbai. But here's the thing. Dubai's leaders weren't aiming small. They saw the airline as more than just a transportation business. It was a statement. A flying ambassador for Dubai's ambition. A tool to attract tourism, trade, and attention from across the globe. And this is where the vision came in. Most airlines of the era focused on serving domestic or regional markets first, slowly expanding over decades. Emirates skipped that playbook entirely. They went international from day one, connecting Dubai to major cities in Asia, Europe, and beyond. The idea was simple. If Dubai could become a hub for global travel, the city could transform from a small desert outpost into a crossroads of the world. That vision required more than planes. It needed service that would make travelers choose Emirates over long-established competitors. From the start, Emirates invested heavily in passenger experience. Comfortable seating, free drinks, friendly crew, things that weren't always standard back in the 1980s. And it worked. Business travelers noticed. Tourists noticed. By the early 1990s, Emirates was already winning awards for service. Within just a decade, what began as 2 leased planes and a tiny route map had turned into a serious international player. The growth wasn't just fast, it was strategic. Emirates wasn't chasing every possible route. Instead, it targeted cities that would funnel traffic through Dubai, turning the city into an unavoidable stopover for travelers between Europe, Asia, and Africa. Looking back now, it's almost unbelievable. An airline born out of necessity, built with a shoestring budget, taking on global giants, and winning. But that's the Emirates story. From humble roots, driven by a bold vision, they set out not just to join the aviation world, but to dominate it. And they were only just getting started. Now let's talk money. Because when it comes to Emirates, the numbers aren't just good, they're jaw-dropping. In the fiscal year, Ending March 2025, Emirates posted a staggering $5.8 billion in pre-tax profits. That's a 20% jump from the year before, and it pushed them ahead of giants like Delta to claim the title of the world's most profitable airline. Think about that for a second. An airline from a city-state with fewer than 4 million residents just out-earned some of the oldest names in aviation. And the momentum didn't stop there. Revenues hit $34.9 billion. Passenger numbers? A record 53.7 million travelers chose Emirates in a single year. Seat capacity expanded by 4%, proving they weren't just filling planes, they were adding more of them and still keeping demand high. But maybe the most impressive stat of all, by year's end, Emirates was sitting on a record-high cash reserve of $14.6 billion. That's a financial cushion most airlines can only dream about. And they did all of this while adapting to a brand new 9% UAE corporate tax, which they'd never had to pay before. And remember, we're not just talking about the airline alone. The Emirates Group, which includes their massive ground services operation, DNADA, earned a total profit of $6.2 billion. This isn't just a carrier that flies planes, it's a diversified aviation empire. So, what's fueling these insane numbers? It's a perfect storm of smart strategy and favorable conditions. First, demand for premium cabins has been surging. After years of being grounded during the pandemic, travelers are willing to spend more for comfort, especially on long-haul routes. And Emirates? They've built their brand on making business and first class an experience, not just a seat upgrade. Lounges, onboard showers, chef-prepared meals. It's not hard to see why people are willing to pay extra. Second, Dubai itself has become a magnet for tourism and business. The city has positioned itself as a global playground. Luxury shopping, iconic landmarks, year-round sunshine. Every visitor flying in or out is a potential Emirates customer. The more Dubai thrives, the more Emirates benefits. Third, fuel prices, one of the biggest expenses in aviation, were sharply reduced compared to pandemic-era peaks. Lower costs on such a massive expense line translate directly into better margins. And with their fleet of fuel-efficient Boeing 777s and the high-capacity Airbus A380s, they've optimized fuel use per passenger even further. But numbers alone don't explain everything. The leadership credited their success to non-stop investments in people, partnerships, and products. That means they kept hiring, kept upgrading cabins, and kept building strategic deals, even when other airlines were cutting back to survive. And here's a detail. They celebrated this record-breaking year by paying employees a 22-week salary bonus. That's right, half a year's pay as a thank you for the grind of the post-pandemic recovery. In an industry where morale can sink faster than a delayed flight, that kind of gesture speaks volumes. It turns profits into purpose. The result? A self-reinforcing cycle. Great service brings in more premium passengers. More passengers fuel more profits. More profits mean more investment in the product. And more investment makes the service even better. It's the kind of momentum every airline dreams of, but very few achieve. So, with profits soaring and cash reserves at record highs, the big question becomes, how does Emirates keep passengers loyal in a world where air travel is often more stressful than exciting? That's where their mastery of the customer experience comes in, and it's the secret weapon we're about to unpack next. So, how is it that while other airlines scrape by on razor-thin margins, or worse, rack up losses, Emirates keeps printing billion-dollar profits year after year? What's their secret sauce? It starts with their business model. Emirates is basically a hybrid between a low-cost airline and a luxury carrier. On the cost side, they run a lean structure. No sprawling network of regional subsidiaries, no tangled mess of different aircraft types. Their fleet is heavily standardized, built mainly around two workhorses, the Boeing 777 and the Airbus A380. That's a big deal. Fewer aircraft types mean lower maintenance costs, simpler crew training, and streamlined operations. Add to that the fact that Emirates has no unions. This is rare in aviation, where labor disputes and union negotiations can slow things down or push costs way up. Without those extra layers, their decision-making is faster, staffing is more efficient, and operational costs are leaner. And because they've kept a flat organizational hierarchy, there's less bureaucracy between leadership decisions and execution on the ground. Then there's their hub strategy, which is nothing short of genius. Dubai sits at a geographic sweet spot, right between East and West. From one location, they can connect Europe to Asia, Asia to America, and Africa to both, often with just one stop. Emirates has turned Dubai into a mega connector, specializing in Fifth Freedom routes, flights that connect two foreign countries but stop in Dubai along the way. That brings in tons of transit passengers who might not even be visiting the UAE, but are still filling Emirates planes. This hub model also lets them run flights to emerging cities that don't have enough demand for direct flights from, say, New York or London, but can be profitably connected through Dubai. For passengers, it's seamless. For Emirates, it's a volume game they've mastered. Of course, their luxury offering is more than just a gimmick. The first-class suites, sky lounges, and award-winning in-flight entertainment aren't there for bragging rights. They're revenue magnets. Premium passengers pay several times more per seat than economy travelers, and Emirates' ability to consistently fill those high-yield cabins is a massive profit driver. When you combine high-paying customers with a tightly controlled cost structure, the margins get very healthy very quickly. Speaking of cost control, Emirates enjoys several structural advantages. Operating out of Dubai means no curfews. Dubai International Airport runs 24/7, allowing them to keep planes in the air longer and boost aircraft utilization. Every extra hour a plane flies in a day spreads the fixed costs over more paying passengers. They also benefit from the UAE's tax-free environment, avoiding the corporate taxes and fuel duties that weigh down many competitors. And without union pressures, they can adjust staffing, routes, and schedules with more flexibility than most legacy carriers. Now, critics sometimes argue that Emirates owes its success to state subsidies. But the airline pushes back hard on that narrative. Yes, they received about $218 million in seed capital when they launched in 1985. But they've repaid that in full through dividends to the Dubai government. Since then, they insist, every dirham of growth has come from their own operations, smart reinvestment, and market-driven strategy. When you zoom out, you see a business that's engineered for efficiency without sacrificing brand appeal. Emirates cuts costs where passengers won't notice, but spends lavishly where it makes the biggest impact. Onboard experience, connectivity, and service reliability. That balance is why they can weather industry storms and still come out with record profits. But the real magic? They've built a system that's hard to copy. Geography, governance, and brand reputation all align perfectly for Emirates, making it not just another airline, but a money-making machine in an industry where most struggle to break even. And that leads us to the next big question. How exactly does Emirates keep its brand so powerful, even when cheaper competitors are snapping at their heels? That's where their mastery of customer experience takes center stage. In aviation, if you're not betting on growth, you're already falling behind, and Emirates plays the long game like few others. At the latest Dubai Air Show, they shocked the industry with a $52 billion mega order, 90 Boeing 777s, plus additional Dreamliners for their sister airline, Fly Dubai. This isn't just a fleet boost, it's a statement that Emirates intends to dominate the skies for decades to come. They're not just adding planes, they're upgrading the ones they have. Retrofits for 219 aircraft are already underway, giving older jets a fresh, modern edge. And the next few years will see the arrival of Airbus A350s and the next generation Boeing 77X freighters, expanding both their passenger and cargo reach. These investments sync perfectly with Dubai's broader aviation ambitions. Dubai International Airport handled over 92 million passengers last year, and it's still growing. Plans are already in motion for a second mega airport, a $35 billion project that will dwarf anything in the region and cement Dubai as the ultimate global transit hub. Behind it all is the vision of Sir Tim Clark, the president of Emirates, who has spent decades pushing boundaries. Under his leadership, Emirates became a pioneer in ultra-long-haul luxury travel, shaping planes with manufacturers to suit their exact needs, whether that's maximizing fuel efficiency or fitting in signature first-class suites. But it's not just hardware, it's branding. Emirates has mastered the art of global marketing. From sponsoring world-class athletes and football teams to unforgettable stunts like the lady atop the Burj Khalifa ad, their campaigns are more than commercials. They're cultural moments. Each one reinforces the image of Emirates as both a luxury travel icon and a symbol of Dubai's meteoric rise on the world stage. For Emirates, success isn't just measured in profit margins. It's about building a legacy that lasts. And in today's aviation world, that means tackling sustainability head-on. They've already taken big strides with sustainable aviation fuel, SAF, running flights on both their A380s and Boeing 777s using SAF blends. These aren't one-off experiments. They're part of a long-term roadmap to cut emissions and stay ahead of tightening global regulations. Their fleet is also impressively fuel efficient, measured in liters per passenger kilometer. They're among the best in the industry, but sustainability for Emirates isn't just environmental. It's about sustaining dominance in the global market. That's where their brand machine comes in. From rugby fields to football stadiums, Fly Emirates is everywhere, becoming a visual shorthand for premium travel. They don't just advertise, they integrate themselves into global moments, so the brand sticks in people's minds. Then there's their people. Emirates employs over 121,000 staff, and when they delivered record profits, they thanked their team with a 22-week salary bonus. It's more than generosity, it's strategic loyalty building. Happy employees deliver better service, which strengthens the brand, which in turn attracts more premium passengers. It's a perfect loop: future-focused investments, unmatched brand visibility, and an engaged workforce. That's how Emirates doesn't just win today. They set themselves up to win for decades to come. And in the airline game, that's the ultimate flight plan. So that's the story. Emirates didn't become the most profitable airline in the world by chance. They achieved it through vision, tenacity, and strategy. From Dubai's global hub, efficient operations, long-term aircraft planning, to luxury brand positioning, they've proven that profitability and premium experience can coexist and even soar together. If this gave you a new window into the aviation world, do me a favor, like this video, subscribe for more deep dives, and let me know. Which Emirates strategy surprised you most? Safe travels, and catch you in the skies ahead.